The first person I ever wanted to be that wasn't like a superhero or something in a comic book was Bruce Lee. I loved me some Bruce Lee as a kid. I had Asian influence in my family, and I learned martial arts at a very early age, and all I wanted to do was be Bruce Lee. Now, he was an idol for me then, and getting older now, you see the holes in your idols. But as a true brilliant man and a kinesthetic genius and an unbelievable actor and fighter, he is sublime. And I still love Bruce Lee. Watch his films all the time. My kids are like, what are you watching this thing again? And in Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee takes time with his student. And the student is getting emotional and he's not putting enough motion in, so he's trying to correct him. And the student says, let me think. He says, don't think, feel.
It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
But the whole point is, you're supposed to, in martial arts, act without thought. And in martial arts, that's great. But it can be conversely realized in football, in evaluation. It's not about feeling, it's about thinking. So I'm going to do the reverse of Bruce Lee and have you not concentrate on the finger so you don't miss all the heavenly glory. And I hear people talking all kinds of stuff. Injuries, if we had Tua, if we had Bridgewater, whatever. I'm going to show, I'll do a little film study, a different one than I usually do. And there's a reason for it. Because I'm going to have stats at the end of it, and then I'm going to do an expanding on those stats, and then flesh them out for you. And at the end of this thing, it's going to be very clear. All the emotion, all the other external issues are going to become crystal clear and realized. And I don't usually do that. If you watch me for a while, I say, well, it could be this is my opinion, and here you go, here's stats. But given the body of work last year, and our 12 personnel usage and a lack of run game and protections, and then going into this season and seeing what we've seen so far, and then this display by the offensive line, it's irrefutable. I'm sticking my foot in the ground, and I don't understand how, if you see these statistics, and then the film matched with it, this Jetskrieg that was poured upon Skylar Thompson in his first game. Understand, any quarterback in that situation would have suffered dramatically. Some might have been able to raise it a little bit, but this was such a gross display that it's truly irrefutable. And I don't understand how you cannot put this front and center, put stars on it, highlights and neon as the most critical thing now and going forward, and as a locator of past issues. Okay? So I'm not going to go on too much longer. Just going to give you guys a shout out. Thank you for stopping by, for the likes, the subscribes, the comments. You guys make this channel happen. But Spread, my sponsors, they play a factor too. So it's with you guys and with them this show happens. So I want to give them a quick shout out. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so I'm going to do a little film study here. It's going to be very short. You're like, why so short? Because I did it a little differently to try to make humor out of it. But when you pair it up with what's going to be seen at the end of the video, the stats, and then how I flesh it out at the end, there is really nothing else to say going forward. It don't matter who we have as quarterback. And in fact, if Tua was in, the chances of him getting hurt were very high. Skylar was lucky to make it out of this game without a concussion. And that ties into something else that, now that I think about it, I'm going to add a quick addendum at the end. So here you go. Here's my different style tape. Hope you enjoy it. Let's see what we see. Okay. So you saw the film, and yeah, you can say I picked whatever, made it stylish, but that was what the game was really must have felt like for this kid and anybody who would have been back there. Now, understand. He wasn't blitzed 32 times. That was 4-man and 3-man rush all game. Like maybe 2 or 3 times they brought an extra blitzer. He was under pressure 21 to 20. You check the stats, it's a little back and forth. But 20 to 21 times out of 35 dropbacks with only being blitzed maybe 2 or 3 times. He was kept clean only 14 dropbacks. Now, the Jets have applied pressure. The Jets are talented. I said that going into this game. I said, be wary of the stunts, be wary of their pressure. It's going to reveal what we really got here. Now, I'm going to go over the teams they played to show you what they produced and then create a context for it quickly and then show you what ours looked like. Ravens, 13 total pressures, 2 sacks, 1 hit, 10 hurries. And they've got issues at O-line. They've got holes. They got some good players, but the edges are weak. Kind of like us. Except Eichenberg is, Then you got the Browns, one of the best offensive lines in football. They only got 6 total pressures, 2 sacks. They're very consistent with their sacks, if you notice. 1 hit and 3 hurries. Okay? Bengals. We know they struggle. Well, they only got 6 total pressures, 3 sacks. They upped their sack level, 0 hits, and 3 hurries. Pittsburgh can't really run block that well, but they're getting better in the pass block, but still not, top of the charts here. And they played a rookie quarterback, and that enhances the slow processing. So it was 10 total pressures, 2 sacks, 1 hit, 7 hurries. Now that's what you saw here. 13, 6, 6, 10. The Dolphins, 20 pressures. 20 to 21, whatever you look, pressures. 20. 2 sacks, which is pretty much the same of all the games. 7 hits, which the highest hit was 1. So they got 7. Hurries, The highest was ours at 11. Next was the Ravens at 10, and then 7, and then 3 and 3. So across the board, we wet the bed hard. And you could add some of that as he's a rookie too, and that enhanced it a little bit. But if you saw the game, you saw these guys were getting in. I can't remember the guy's name now for some reason. It keeps slipping me. The left guy tackle who replaced my man Teron, no good. Little, no good. Eichenberg, no good. In fact, I mean, you don't have to go with it. PFF graded our entire line 20 out of 100. And you might say, well, I don't like PFF. I agree. I don't really like their weighted total grades, but their stats and their performance grades are usually good. I just don't like the way they weight it. It's not lacks context. It's not nuanced. It doesn't deal in with like context around the player. And so it kind of gets skewed in some hard ways. But the individual performance is relatively close when you read that. And the stats are relatively close as well. But however you slice it, it ain't like they graded us a 20 and we were a 90. This was one of the worst performances I have ever seen. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. And to understand that last year, we didn't have Teron, we didn't have Connor, and we ran 12 personnel all season like I talked, and we still had the worst offense. We were the 45th best offensive line in football last year for a reason. So we brought Teron in, we brought Connor in. I like Connor a lot at center, and I like Hunt at center. Their grades suffered yesterday, but it's a unit. And one guy can kind of get hit, but when you got three guys that are a disaster, everybody suffers because you're looking, you're moving, you're not sure. It creates a disaster effect. Now, understand, I said at the beginning of the year, Teron in means help runs to the right side. And the first game, there was a lot of pressure, but then it slowed down, but then Teron got injured, and you could see against the Bengals game, he wasn't really himself. I said at some point he's going to have to go. He's not going to be able to last. Well, that happened, and we got to see what this offensive line looks like without him. It's a big hit, but how do you have all these picks and have to get your left tackle off the street? And then your starter is Jackson, who's abysmal, and Little, who's abysmal behind him, and then Eichenberg, who's abysmal, then Dieter, who's abysmal, and then you got Robert Jones, who's good, but he's hurt, but he doesn't fit in his own stretch. So you got Hunt, Connor, and maybe Robert Jones, but he doesn't fit. That's all you got on the offensive line. This is a disaster considering all the picks and investments that we have. And nothing's going to change without that. You cannot have this kind on a professional level as a developer of a unit, the most critical unit in the game. You cannot have this level of production. And there won't be, I don't care if Tua gets in, and then unfortunately, without Teron, Tua could get blasted very bad. Tua would have been able to mitigate some of this, but it wasn't like he's coming in and he's lifting up. No way, no how. No way, Jose. You got to understand how they brought 3 and 4 all day and pressured 21 out of 35 times. It's mind-blowing. Now, this is another concerning part, an addendum. This is not where I'm putting my foot in the ground. I was talking to a guy, Mo. I had mentioned sort of in a podcast. He thought about it. He was saying some good stuff. And I was like, wow, man, that's a really good idea. I kind of had a little bit, but then he enhanced it, and we're going back and forth and having conversations, why I like comments so much. And he says, okay, now we got these new concussion rules. You look at Teddy. He might have had a concussion. It might have been the elbow, but they pulled him out. They're going to pull guys out quickly. So the defenses are now going to attack these quarterbacks to try to get them rattled and get them out. And depth is going to play a huge, in your quarterback group, huge going forward. But that depth can be enhanced by the protection you offer with your offensive line and the run game, which will hinder the pass rush and alter a second option where the quarterback does not need to be constantly throwing and putting himself in risk. So we have two who I think is good. But, even his, most beloved fans have to know this guy gets hurt a lot. But you don't have an offensive line, and you're way far from getting it. And you have real no run game. We ran last week against the Jets, but that's an anomaly, and they're not really good run stoppers. And they were kind of going for the pass to begin with, which, we could expect that going forward. But the key elements for Tua's game is protection and a run game. It's not high skills. And to keep a somewhat flimsy quarterback, the guy's injured all the time. He's got a lot of injury history. So you protect him. That would be the wise thing. But you can't do that. You don't got it. And Greer has a long history of flopping hard on his offensive line. So it's not like a one-player thing because you need to be decent and have depth in order to maintain that consistency, that protection, which will then, it will filter down to the rest of the team. We're a long way from this offensive line. And we're sans some picks thanks to Ross. So how this offensive line plays out, how they adjust, how they grow is the number. It's not even about Tua. It's about this offensive line. Nothing good will come until this offensive line is resolved. Doesn't matter who you got back there. So we have to keep our eyes on this offensive line. You got to hope these players somehow develop. They can, but will we? And to what degree? And Tehran, he hasn't practiced for 2 or 3 weeks. He sat for 9 days and didn't practice. And then he came into the game and he couldn't even block for more than a drive or two before the pain was too much and he wasn't able to do it. How long is this guy going to be out now? How long is my man Tehran going to be out? And how is this team going to navigate without him? It could be a long period before he is back to being himself, if at all this season. So that's it. Done. Not going any farther. There's no way that you can't red alert this offensive line. And we'll see if it gets better. It's bad news. Bad news. Can get fixed. Can get enhanced. But this is, again, the 45th best offensive line of football without Tehran. And that's not great news. Curtis saying, sorry for the bummer here. Let's hope that some magic happens. Something occurs. Somehow we grow. But this is reality. It's clear. Clear. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Pray for an offensive line. Pray for Tua to come back healthy. See you soon. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.